Welcome to this edition of Penn State Sports Night. Coming off of a fresh spring break, we got Scott Cikowski with us, and then the A-team, Alex Blankman, Rob Breck, Mike Gilbert. Selection Sunday was yesterday, so we're going to start with that. We're going to break down some brackets. Let's start with our Final Four, guys, and we're going to start off with Scott. Who do you got in the Final Four?
Well, I got Kentucky, consensus, best team in the bracket. I don't think there's much arguing there that it's going to take another team's best effort, and they're going to have to be called on an off night for them to lose. I also took Wisco, staying in the Big Ten here. Love Frank the Tank. He's got all the tools to be a stud in the NBA. And then I went with Virginia in the East because I had Villanova taking an early exit here with UNI getting the W there.
Ooh.
And then the Duke Blue Devils went with a pretty standard chalk Final Four, but I'm going for the win this time.
Happened in 08, right?
Yep.
Memphis, Kansas, UCLA, someone else. All right.
Well, like him, I do have Kentucky because they're the clear consensus number one team in the country. Not much else to say there. Then I got Arizona in the West. I think Arizona is the one team that can stop Kentucky this year. They just know how to play defense. I think they're the one team that might have a shot to stop them. So I have actually Arizona over Kentucky in the finals. And going to the East, I got Louisville. They've done it before. Pitino knows exactly how to coach his teams, and they just know exactly what they're doing. And then I got Duke. Jahlil Okafor is just an unstoppable machine, and I have them in the finals too.
Well, with my bracket, what my philosophy is that if the consensus is this is going to happen, it's probably not going to happen. So starting in the Midwest, in my Final Four, I do not have Kentucky. Wow. I have them getting upset in the Elite Eight by the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Wow.
They finished off the season on a 5-game win streak, winning the ACC title, on the way defeating Louisville, Duke, and North Carolina. So I think they're going to keep up the hot streak, hopefully take down Kentucky. In the West, I have UNC sticking with the ACC there, beating Wisco in the Sweet 16. And then in the South, I have Duke. I think they're a great team. And then in the East, I have Virginia actually beating Louisville. And I agree with Scott that Villanova is going to have an early exit, except I think it's going to be Louisville.
Yeah, they shoot too many threes, I think, to make the Final Four.
All right, Kentucky in the Midwest. Not ballsy enough to take anyone else. In the West, I have Wisconsin. This was tough because I think they could beat Arizona handily, but UNC there, Marcus Page leading that team, that would be difficult. But I still think they're going to pull it out. I mean, we saw in the Big Ten tournament, Kaminsky, his off game was really against Michigan. That was right before the Penn State game, right before Penn State played, and he had an off game, but still scored like 15 points, had like 10 boards, and he was like, "Oh, I played terribly today." Like that scares me. I think they're going to beat North Carolina, go on to the Final Four. In the East, I have Villanova losing early, but to Louisville. I think Louisville in the tournament is just dangerous whenever you have a team in the tournament. I have them coming out of the East, and then out of the South, Duke. That's probably the easiest region.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Duke's pretty much got a cakewalk.
Duke, I mean,
in comparison,
I have them going through Utah, and I don't think it's much of a Utah than SMU. So I think they have the easiest road to the Final Four. But let's talk now about some upsets. We talked about the top teams. Who do you guys got? I know we have we have the trendy upsets. I'm not really looking for the trendy upsets today, guys. I'm looking for the expert opinion upsets. What do you guys got?
Ooh, well, I'm going with Wofford over Arkansas, 12 beating 5. There's always one of those a year. The SEC has been playing on ESPN, so I've been watching a lot of that. And the rest of the SEC just does not look that good. Maybe it's because every time they're playing Kentucky. But I just think the SEC is a weak division.
I'm going with number 12 Buffalo, number 5 West Virginia. Like you said, there's a number 12 upset every year. This year for me, it's Buffalo. West Virginia's kind of been run down with injuries the past few weeks. Going into the tournament, they just don't think the injuries are going to take it. I'm going to take Buffalo in this one.
I'll give a 12-5 here. I'll go with Stephen F. Austin. All going with different 12 years. But also, I think that Albany has a good shot to take on Oklahoma and win there with the 14-3 upset.
Yeah, that's the one 14-3 that I like the best.
All right, Georgia State over Baylor. I don't think Baylor had any chance of being on the 3 line But Rico, obviously good rebounders, and Rico gathers. They have the score in Cherry. But Georgia State's coach tearing his ACL. I think that's a good omen. I'm going to take them over the Bears. Anything else you guys see in the brackets that's interesting to you guys?
Number 13, Valparaiso over Maryland.
I have them too.
I have that as well.
Yeah.
I think that's a
One of
big
those gut
13-4.
feelings.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go against you guys on this one. Something we've seen basically every year in the tournament is good guard play, taking a talented team far into the finals. And I think that the combo of Des Wells and Melo Trimble could just could take them right there to challenge Kentucky. I think that could be an interesting matchup. Also, I'd like to point out Temple and Murray State not making a tournament. What's the deal with that? I don't think that Temple and the AAC is getting any of the respect they deserve. I mean, the conference or the champion from last year came from the AAC, and Temple looked good in that conference, and they give it to some well-known schools in UCLA and Indiana, which a lot of people think didn't really play well enough throughout the year to get into the tournament, and let alone not even be in one of the playing games. I think that's just interesting to look at.
I actually like Indiana this year. I actually have them over VCU in the first round. I don't know. I just think the guard play, I think Yogi Ferrell's good enough to carry that team, like you said, with the guard play.
I mean, we've seen it so many times in the last couple of years. Guard play gets you far. I mean, Kemba, Ryan Boatwright for UConn, Johnny Flynn, Shabazz. Yeah, you definitely need a good guard. You need length, but having one of those leader guards can definitely help you out. Champion.
I'm going with Notre Dame. You know, it's been it's my hot pick. I mean, if it does it, I might be the only man in America besides Notre Dame fans. But they're hot coming into the tournament, and that's all that matters. So I'm going with Notre Dame.
Well, Pat Connaughton, we'll see him pitch if he wins a national championship. Yeah. We'll see him pitch in the spring because he plays baseball too, which is pretty sick. Yeah. Is he from Philly? Is he a Philly guy?
No, they got Steve Astoria, who's another 3-point shooter. He's from the Philly area.
I got Duke. I got them beating Arizona in the finals after Arizona upsets Kentucky. But I think Jaleel Okafor just completely leads this team straight into the championship, into the first overall pick of the draft.
I'm going to go with the blue chip team here. I'm going to go with Kentucky. But I will say this. If a team is going to beat Kentucky, I don't think that it's going to be by matching up and trying to beat them at every position because you just can't. They're going to have bench players getting drafted in the NBA this year. And I think that it could take a team like Notre Dame who just could put up a bunch of threes to beat their inside length. And I think that's how they'll go down. A team who gets a great shooting night I think they could stop the beast there.
Yeah, that's really the only way they can get stopped is if they have kind of an off, shaky night and another team shoots the lights out. But the Harrison twins, they've been playing well lately. I don't think they're that good. So I don't know, but I'm still taking Kentucky because I'm soft. So I'm taking Kentucky.
One thing what you got to remember, though, about Kentucky is that outside of the first, 10 games where they played like the Kansas, a couple other top 25 teams, they've been playing a very weak SEC. And some of those games have gotten extremely close. So we'll see how they match up against different styles of play.
That's all we got for this segment. Coming up next, NFL free agency. Stay tuned to Penn State Sports Night. Talk about in the NFL, about free agency. Let's start, the AFC East. Let's start with the Bills, just to be fair.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I think the Bills are making some moves. Percy Harvin just signed. Who else?
Well, I mean, they had the huge trade, the LaShawn McCoy trade. I'd love to know your thoughts on that. I mean, I definitely don't like the fact that he's coming to the AFC East. Great running back, but also $13 million I think is a good trade for the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, they freed up a lot of cap space. They got a young defender. He played well in his rookie year, but just like with a lot of the Eagles signings, he's been pretty injury-prone so far in his career, so it could be a very hit-or-miss year for the Bird Gang.
I like what Buffalo did with Sonny Incognito, though. That's a
Early.
very Rex signing.
Yeah, very shady move very early in free agency.
Yeah.
Even before free agency started.
Went a little unnoticed, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Rex said that he wanted to come out and be the bully of the AFC East, and that's definitely one way of doing it by
Yeah, I'm
signing
sure
a
he
kid.
would've,
Can they be the bully with Matt Castle?
No.
No.
Then again, but look at the other quarterbacks in this division. You got the Jets and Ryan Fitzpatrick, obviously Tom Brady, and Ryan Tannehill. I don't really know if any team's going to be a bully with the quarterback position, but you look at the teams, and they're really good defensively. Dolphins going out and signing in Dominican Sue, and Jets obviously getting Revis, Cromartie, Buster Screen. The Jets are looking better and better by the day. Marcus Gilchrist.
James Carpenter.
All
James
right,
Carpenter.
guys, calm down. They'll win 6 games. It'll be the same story. I don't think you have too much to worry about.
I don't know. Now we have an elite wide receiver group, with the trading a 5th-round pick for Brandon Marshall.
Man, what a
that
trade.
was huge.
And we
Great
got their
deal.
7th rounder as well.
Yeah.
All right. What else we got, guys?
Go over the Eagles. They've had a pretty big offseason.
Eagles have had okay. What do you think about the DeMarco? I just don't get why Chip Kelly would get rid of Shady and then sign a guy for more money.
Well, I think that the biggest thing with that was Chip didn't really like the way Shady ran the ball. His style of offense, they need a guy who's going to hit a hole, and that's exactly what DeMarco Murray does. He runs straight. He's a north and south type guy. I think that Bradford was obviously a key recruiting tool there, and I think that the Mariota talks should be a little bit quieter now, because how could you sign Bradford, his good buddy, and then just completely kind of go away from that and take the Marcus Mariota?
If I've learned anything this offseason, it's Chip Kelly will not hold back to do anything. So he already has Murray. Like, that's a guarantee. He can get rid of Bradford, maybe trade him, maybe move up for Mariota.
I mean, I think that the biggest hole on the Eagles now is still the secondary. They still don't have a safety. I mean, if they're sitting out there at 20, an All-American safety, Landon Collins from Alabama, will be there. So I think that the smart play here would just be to sit back, take the safety, improve the defense, and let Chip work his magic on the offensive side of the ball. And then I think they'll have a good chance to return to the playoffs. Maybe Chip will get his first playoff win in Philly.
I don't even think DeMarco Murray is like the biggest running back signing. So what about Ryan Matthews? Why 3 years, $11.5 million? You need Sproles, Matthews, and DeMarco Murray?
Well, the little unknown stat, top 2 running backs in yardage out of the shotgun were number 1, Ryan Matthews, number 2, DeMarco Murray.
Wow.
So for whatever that's worth, I mean, that could be a 3-headed monster there. The Legion of Zoom, as it's dubbed, with Sproles, Matthews, and Murray. But also, I think a key thing in the Murray trade was they got an elite running back, although he is on the older side right now, a little bit injury prone as well. And in doing that, they also took one of the best players from the best team in their division away. The Cowboys are now a little bit crippled. They signed Darren McFadden, but we've all seen how that went in Oakland. He can't really seem to stay on the field for very long. I think that that's a big part about that. The Cowboys are now weaker without their stud running back.
Like the Patriots are weaker without their star cornerback.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
And they lost Browner, too. That's
Yeah,
kind of
he's going to the Saints. Him and C.J. Spiller, too, another guy losing out of the AFC East.
Not to mention Vince Wilfork going to the Houston Texans today.
J.J. Watt, Javion Clowney, and Vince Wilfork. That's a nice front line.
That is
That's
scary.
a very nice front line.
That's scary.
Wilfork says he feels like home because, of course, he
Who do you
learned
think
under
is
the
going to
Bill
start under
O'Brien.
center for them?
I guess
they-
Ryan Mallett is the
Mallett.
guy right
Or
now.
Hoyer.
I forgot.
Yeah.
They just had Brian
Yeah,
Hoyer.
so they'll get a little bit
That's why they traded
quarterback
Fitzpatrick.
competition there. I mean,
That's probably the least
what
exciting
is
quarterback
Bill
competition I've ever
O'Brien
heard.
doing?
Yeah.
Is he waiting
Well, he
for
coached.
his...
You guys probably know he coached Hoyer and
Yeah.
Mallet.
Right.
And Wilfork.
And he
Yeah,
also
and Will
coached
Ford.
a guy by the name of Christian Hackenberg, who will be eligible next year. So
I think he'll do it.
we'll
think,
see what
I think the
happens
Texans
there.
will
That
get
could be
him
a-
next year.
Surprise.
that could be a
If
repeat
you
of the
guys,
Chip Kelly thing.
do you think he'll go? Where do you guys
First
think he'll
round.
go? You think he'll go first round?
You can't teach size. He's got
that's
got
true.
that Peyton Manning type size. Not that skill, but he could be worked into that.
I think the problem with him more is the line than his actual
Yeah.
skills.
I think he'll have a good year if the Penn State line can hold up.
I mean, like, the thing with, Hackenberg, whatever the complaints from the fan base or the stats were, when I was watching that BC game, the analysts were talking about how if he went this year, he would be a first-round pick.
It's also
You know?
the weakest quarterback class as far as I can
Given,
remember.
given though, this guy's only going to improve with another year in James Franklin's system, a better offensive line, more chemistry. This guy could be a top 5 pick if he regresses. Like, they're talking about him being a Maxwell candidate at the beginning of last year. Who knows what the preseason predictions will be, but I see this guy being a top 5, top 10 pick whenever he does decide to leave.
I remember he was a top talent early in his freshman year when he was only 18 years old, and he switches systems from Bill O'Brien's to James Franklin. Very different system. James Franklin, more your prototypical college system, whereas Bill O'Brien being your prototypical NFL system. So when you look at that, I think you see a huge leap here 2 years under James Franklin's system.
So we talked about free agency. Let's move to the draft. I think we can all agree it looks like the Tampa Bay is taking Jameis.
Who doesn't plan on attending the draft as of now. But
Wow.
we'll see if that changed. That came out today. Plan on spending with his friends and family in Florida.
Okay.
I like that move.
It's classy.
Yeah.
Especially for a guy like Jameis, not really expected.
Joe Thomas did that back in the day.
Yeah, but most linemen and quarterbacks are
So,
different.
the guy left is Marcus Mariota. I think he goes 2
I think he goes 5.
because do you guys think that Tennessee is sold on Zach Mettenberger? They're sold 100%. I know it's their style. Ken Wisenhunt's style is like the big pocket passer, but I think that's kind of like a smokescreen. I think they're really interested in Mariota.
I think that the question is not if they're sold on Mettenberger, is if they're sold on Mariota. And I think that's the story with any team in the top 10 who's considering taking him. Because they can risk it on this guy, or they can improve with offensive line. I know they're looking at the D end out of USC.
Leonard Williams.
Yeah, but I see him, I think he's going to fall. He could fall to 5, he could fall to 6, and I think if it goes past there, you see him fall into the 14, 15 spot.
There's a lot of DNs: Shane Ray, Vic Beasley, Williams, and then there's Brennan Scherf out of Iowa, the tackle. Not that exciting, but they do have Amari Cooper and Kevin White, who should go in the top 10 as well.
Who do you guys think is going to go first, Kevin White or Amari Cooper?
Kevin White. I think he
That's
impressed that
tough.
much at the combine.
Yeah, that's tough.
It
because
seems like Kevin White's gonna go first, but I don't know. From what I've seen of
4.35.
Amari Cooper at Alabama,
And not that size.
he's been a stud in the SEC. I mean, I love Cooper's game. I would take Cooper first.
Cooper's very possession receiver. He's going to have a perfect route and he's going to catch the ball. But I think Kevin White could do more of everything. Better in the red zone, better deep threat.
He's
Won't
got
be as
that
crisp
deep
route
threat
running,
speed.
but maybe he can learn how to route run and then end up being better than Cooper. But I think Cooper is probably the safest pick overall in the entire draft.
I'd say Cooper's probably the most ready right now.
Yeah.
But the potential is probably better.
And maybe if you're the Raiders and you want Carr to work on his overall game, then you take Cooper,
Yep.
a guy who we can immediately work with very quickly.
they're definitely they have to take a receiver.
Yeah. They're finding his future right now. He did no one last year, and this year
He played pretty well.
he played well.
last year.
Yeah. I think the Raiders are going to be good.
As long as they don't take another Darius.
Well, they've been
Hayward
signing.
there.
They've been making some dumb signings.
Yeah,
Who did
overall.
they just
Per
spend a lot of
usual.
money on? They just. Well, they've been making some.
Well, the
dumb
Jaguars. The Jaguars, 5 years, $45 million for Julius Thomas. That's so much. That's way too much money.
signings. Dude, I'm blanking on who the Raiders have just been signing.
I mean, the Raiders just mess up over and over again. Darren McFadden, Jamarcus Russell, obviously. They just haven't been able to find a quarterback for I don't even know how long anymore.
I think this didn't happen in free agency, but Jimmy Graham going to the Seahawks.
Yeah, we
That's
have
got
to
to be
talk
one
about
of the
that.
biggest moves this offseason. I mean,
Think
if Jimmy Graham was on the Seahawks, what happens on that
Yeah, you
last
think
play?
Pete
Yeah.
Carroll was thinking. Pete Carroll clearly hasn't been able to sleep, and he said,
Oh
"We need
yeah,
Jimmy
right
Graham."
after this play, he's like, all right, whatever it takes, get me Jimmy Graham. The Saints are clearly trading a bunch of guys. I'm not really sure what the Saints are doing right now. And at one point, I even heard rumors the Jets would consider trading that pick, the first or 6th overall pick, first round for Drew Brees.
Whoa.
I was hearing that at one point. They're looking to clean house, other than Drew Brees and
Mark Ingram.
and Mark Ingram.
They
They
just
just signed
re-signed Ingram,
to the 4
yeah.
years, $16 million.
Well, I guess what the Saints are doing now, they're switching to more like a run control sort of offense.
Brees is 30 years old. He's clearly on the decline. 7-9 season. You never would have seen that out of Drew Brees in his prime, no matter what his defense looked like.
Well, he has a lot of help with Ingram and Spiller.
Yeah, Spiller was a nice signing, but he just lost a lot of help. Colston's going, and Jimmy Graham, obviously. Colston's career is just going downhill right now. Looks to be on the wrong side of 30.
Also in the AFC, Macklin going back to Andy Reid
Yeah.
and KC. I mean, they got no production out of their wide receivers last
I
year.
could see Marcus
No
Mariota going
touchdowns,
there.
right?
Yeah, no touchdown from a wide receiver.
And they cut Bo.
Yeah.
Yep, they got rid of Bo. He's been on the decline recently. I mean, their defense hasn't been a problem. If they could get more points on the board, I think they're a threat. They're getting Flowers back this year, right? He was hurt all last season. I think they're
He was with the Chargers
definitely
last season, wasn't
a contender.
Flowers, yeah.
I think Flowers resigned with the Chargers.
Yeah.
You know who we haven't talked about, and even during the break we didn't talk about is Torrey Smith to San Francisco.
Yeah.
They just got
is deep,
Kaepernick's
right?
just got to improve.
And Reggie Bush.
And
And Reggie Bush. Those are two good signings, especially for Kaepernick.
And Cap was like on the trading block for like 5 minutes.
I saw that.
Yeah.
They shot down that rumor, but I don't know. He's got it's a new system though. Remember, new coach. I think they're gonna start using Kaepernick right. I think he's doing a lot of read options, but then as soon as they need to bring out that cannon that everyone knows Kaepernick has, he was the fastest ball in the NFL.
I think the question though is accuracy. Can he
Accuracy
be
on the
accurate
run.
in the
Well,
pocket?
I think there's going to be a lot more pressure on Kaepernick now. I mean, they lost a lot on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
They lost Patrick Willis. They lost Jason Smith, right?
That was a very yeah.
So, I mean, he's going to have to pick up
They
his
both
production.
retired.
Yep.
I think they just wanted to play for Harbaugh, maybe something like that, and Harbaugh left. Kaepernick also, if you watch 49ers games this past year, didn't make a lot of good decisions. He was running, and he took balls out of bounds behind the line of scrimmage instead of throwing it away. I don't know, just a lot of stuff that I didn't like out of Kaepernick that I saw the potential of having recently, just 2 years ago.
Jake Locker retired too, boys.
Yeah, baseball career.
Concussions.
That's a tough one.
Baseball career. Yeah. Anything else, guys?
I think that's it.
All right, we'll be right back with this edition of Penn State Sports Night. Welcome back to Penn State Sports Night. We forgot a few things regarding NFL free agency. We're going to start with the Colts signing Andre Johnson and Frank Gore. The U. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, 4 years ago, we'd be talking about this nonstop. But they've added a lot of age to their team right now.
Well, they're trying to win now.
They're trying to win now, but to win now, they need a defense. They don't have a defense. They picked up Trent Cole, but he's aging. He's got
32-year-old.
maybe a year or two left in him. I think that they need to build around their defense. Andrew Luck will get it done on the offensive side of the ball. They need someone to stop the opposing QB, aka
Maybe they're just
Tom Brady.
Maybe they're just that confident that Andrew Luck could be that guy. Also cutting Trent Richardson. Fortunately for them, though, the first-round pick they gave up ended up turning into Johnny Manziel, so it's not going to get them anywhere at all. But that's big signings just because Andrew Luck is ready now to win a Super Bowl if he can be surrounded by the talent. Cutting longtime receiver Reggie Wayne, Andre Johnson, Frank Gore. Frank Gore even tried to recruit Vince Wilfork to the Colts, saying they've been waiting for Andre Gore and Wilfork to finally be together again. Unfortunately, it just didn't happen.
Yeah, I think this is a huge move. I think that, with that veteran leadership, I think that's really going to help out Andrew Luck. And what goes underrated is that Andre Johnson, never really had this sort of opportunity. Like, he's going to come to the Colts and they're going to be immediate contenders. Totally fills up that Reggie Wayne spot. I'm excited to see what the Colts are going to do.
I was about to say that. Yeah, that's definitely an upgrade over Reggie Wayne. But somebody mentioned Manziel. Alex mentioned Manziel. Can you believe they signed Josh McCown? That's how little they think of Johnny Manziel. I mean, he's already a bust. I think it's safe to say
he's in rehab.
He's got out, but he is in rehab.
He was in rehab.
We'll see.
I don't usually trust quarterbacks who continue to party and are in rehab.
Yeah. At least he's boys with Drake.
Yeah, that's cool, I guess.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, speaking of Indianapolis, just had the opportunity to speak with Sam Ficken. He was nice enough to phone into the show, so we're going to take you there now. Many draft rankings have you in the top 3 at your position. Others don't even have you in the top 5. Do you ever pay attention to rankings, or do you just disregard them?
No, not really. I mean, at this point, I feel like getting invited to the Combine, that means you're basically in the top grouping.
Right.
So to look on a website and see myself either as the number 1 prospect or not ranked as a prospect, that guy probably has never seen me kick. He doesn't know what the NFL teams are thinking, so you don't really pay too much attention to it. It's kind of just out there. You see it, but you don't really. It's not going to influence how hard you train or how you're dealing with your day-to-day performances.
What's been your favorite part of the draft process thus far?
The Combine. It is a grueling few days. They kind of poke and prod at your body just to kind of check, see if there's any lingering injuries or any of that stuff. But at the same time, you get to meet, the faces of college football, and that's an opportunity that not a lot of people get. So that was a really cool experience, and I got to experience that with 4 other Penn State guys. So just taking it all in. Meeting the coaches, walking by guys you see on TV in the NFL all the time. So, that was kind of eye-opening and pretty cool.
Was there one guy specifically who you felt like, wow, I'm actually meeting this guy?
Rex Ryan and Bill Belichick walked by me. They were talking to each other, but I'm sure they had no idea who I was, but it was still pretty cool for me.
The rough year you had, but ending on a really high note. In 2013, 15 consecutive kicks for a Penn State record, hitting that game winner in Dublin, the first game of the season this year, and then, of course, sealing the Pinstripe Bowl victory. What's been your favorite moment wearing blue and white?
It's really hard for me to say. That Wisconsin game my sophomore year, that was a pretty special moment for me because it was a personal redemption, but at the same time, we sent out the seniors that really, saved the program. We sent them out on a high note. That game meant so much to them. So for me to kind of say, sorry I didn't, follow through with you guys in the second game of the season, but, I'm here for you now.
Right.
And that was special for me. And then obviously, the bowl game, that's probably my favorite memory, just, being able to compete in a bowl game. I never thought I'd have the opportunity to play in a bowl game, if you asked me a year ago. So, to play in a bowl game and win it the way we did, that was about the highest note you can leave college football. So I couldn't really ask for any more than that.
How do you think that win impacted the program as a whole?
It's huge. Every year, every bowl game, you want to go there to win. You go there to compete, and you don't want to go there, work 4 weeks, prepare, and then go and lose. It's just kind of frustrating. It's kind of like it's a big downer. So going into the off season, I think that's huge for the guys that are returning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a momentum booster for recruiting. To be sanctioned all these years and then still come out and get a bowl victory, that's a tough task. So something I'm really proud of, that I could help that team.
You've been working with Robbie Gould in the past. Are you still working with him, and what has he done to help you become a better kicker?
Yeah, so, when I struggled, he reached out to me, thankfully, and offered his help. We went over film a ton that season, probably 3 times a week for the rest of the year after the Virginia game. And that's pretty special because he has his own season to worry about. That's his living. So for him to take the time out of the day when he's in season as well to kind of help me, talk me through some things that I didn't really know or that I was doing wrong, that was big.
How do you think the program will fare over James Franklin's tenure as head coach?
Oh, I think it's on the up and up for sure. He's I think he's laying a great foundation with his approach to how he runs the program, the competitive factor that he brings, and the excitement. He's very energetic. He's always around. He's always talking to everybody, and he's such a good recruiter. And coaches can do so much, but the players got to play. So when you're getting those top-notch guys, that really influences how the coaches can coach, and so on and so forth. And, I'm really excited to see where it'll be in 2-3 years because from what I've seen, it's going to be something special.
Sam Ficken, very nice of you to carve out some of your time for us, and good luck getting ready for the draft this May.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
I'd like to send a thank you to Sam Ficken for giving us some time. Got the Big Ten tournament. That was to Purdue. You saw that touching DJ Newbill jersey over his head, crying. I felt bad for the guy, but overall, not that bad of a season. I mean, they were kind of looking like they might be a Cinderella team in the Big Ten tournament. Yeah.
I mean, one positive which you got to take away from the season is that in the Big Ten tournament, they beat Iowa and Purdue, 2 teams that are going to the tournament. And that's for a team that doesn't have the same sort of recruiting talent as other Big Ten teams. I think that's got to be a win.
Yeah, overall, a pretty good season. And you're right, early on it did look like they would maybe have a chance, but they just died out. And Purdue, a 9 seed, and Iowa, a 7 seed, so these really aren't 2 teams to be embarrassed about beating.
Yeah, from now we have to look to next year. We have a good recruiting class coming in, apparently, and Shep Garner looked good throughout the year. Julian Moore stepped up a little in the tournament. I think they've got some good building blocks. We'll see if they can make some noise next year.
Brandon Taylor hitting some threes in that tournament as well. And Pat Chambers getting that extension, so we'll see what he could do in the coming years. Let's go to over-unders. Scott, we'll start with you.
I'm going to go with over-under 2.5, 12-5 upsets in the tournament.
Alex?
I'm going to say there's 2 of them, so I'm going to say under.
I agree. I think there's going to be 2. I've got 2 in my bracket. I'm going to say under.
Yeah, over 2 is a lot. I'm going to go under as well.
I'm going to go over. It's happening.
All right. You heard it here first.
Yeah. I'm going to say over-under Russell Westbrook averages a triple-double for the remainder of the season. It's a triple-double in 6 out of his last 8 games, and he's averaging it over his last 30 days of the season. What do you guys think?
I think that's going to be tough to keep up with that pace. He has to do a lot of the heavy lifting now.
Ibaka out, Durant still
Yeah,
out.
OKC is still trying to win the 8th seed. I'm going to go with under. I just think it's too hard to do throughout the rest of the year.
I'm going to go with over. He's been incredible these past couple weeks, and in crunch time, he's just going to be shooting more. So I'm going to go with over.
They got rid of Harden. He got better. Without Durant, he got better. I'm going to say over as well.
Nice. All right, so my over-under 8.5 wins for the Jets this season.
I think my feelings are well known on the subject. I'm going to go with under. I'll go with under 7.
Whew. I gotta take it. I gotta take the over. I see a 10-6 season. Ryan Fitzpatrick, 9th best QBR in the league last year. He's got great receivers. Jason Mark making a nice leap this year. Definitely gonna take the over.
They're going to be in every game with that defense. What was the numbers? Over 7?
Over 8.5.
Over 8.5, so 9 wins. Wow. They're going to be in every game. They have an easy schedule. I'm going to go over. I'm taking the over.
Love that.
And my over-under, Matt Harvey coming back this year. Over-under 15 wins for the former Mets star.
Harvey looked great today against the Sox.
Did I say Harvey or Harvey? Did I say Harvin by accident?
You said Harvey.
You said Harvey?
Harvey's
All right.
I'll take the over. Harvey is a stud. That Mets rotation took a little bit of a hit losing Wheeler, but I still think they're going to be able to compete. I'm going to take the over with Harvey.
Yeah, I actually think the Mets are going to be pretty good this year. Better than the Yankees for that matter. I'm going to take the over. He's got a great curveball, and apparently he feels better than he did before Tommy John surgery.
I don't know about being better than the Yankees, but 4 scoreless innings versus the Red Sox today. I'm going to take the over.
Yeah, he's been pitching lights out in spring training. I'm definitely taking the over. I think he might be their savior. Maybe not this year. Zach Wheeler hurt, but I think he'll get over 15. That's all we got for this edition of Penn State Sports Night alongside Scott Cikowski, Alex Blankman, Rob Breck. I'm Mike Gilbert. We'll see you next time.